think that we as a community should support what our young people are doing and be able to showcase the things that they're doing in the community. Isn't that right? Ashley, would you introduce yourself and tell them a little bit more about you?
Yes. First, thank you so much for having me. My name is Ashley Bennett. I am a motivational speaker, minister, author, and visual artist. God has certainly blessed me with multiple gifts, and I graduated with my master's in psychology, and I will be getting my PhD in psychology. Just putting a pause on school really quick from Grand Canyon University.
Awesome.
And I have just been traveling with opportunities. I have spoken in Arizona, California, Ohio. I've done art shows in multiple places. I had a solo art show at Kent State University. So yeah,
you're a busy little lady.
Yes.
Another special guest I'd like to introduce to you all today is a person that I know personally because I birthed him. His name is Giovanni Levy. Giovanni, could you say hello to our audience and tell them a little bit about yourself?
Hi everyone. My name is Giovanni, and I'm on my mother's show, and I'm glad that you had me here today.
And what have you been up to, Giovanni?
Just doing a lot of school and just work. I'm a senior at Cleveland State University, and trying to develop some organizations to help people all over the world.
Well, I'm so glad you both are here. Ashley, I specifically wanted you here because the last time you were on the show, you didn't get a chance to tout your 2 books. Yes. Okay, and you also brought your paintings too.
Yes.
And I would just like you to do your Ashley thing for me right now. Okay, thanks.
Okay, just to give a brief synopsis about my books, this is my latest book. It is a continuation from my first book. My first book came out 2018, summer 2018. It was Not Easily Broken, Turning Hidden Shame into Distant Memories. And this is my second one that came out for my birthday last year. It is called 6 Years and Counting, A Journey of Celibacy While Waiting for Marriage. Both of them became #1 on Amazon in the 3 Christian categories. So basically, both of them are autobiographies. The first one is how I overcame childhood trauma through sexual abuse, abandonment issues, not meeting my father till I was 6 years old, and just all of the coping mechanisms I went through, discovering who I was, and ultimately it also talks about the importance of addressing mental health issues and seeking counsel and, overcoming depression and so many things that I faced while going through my healing process. The second one is how do you, when you start having sex and you want to stop and you want to truly present your body as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable unto God, like how do you do that? So I'm very honest in my book. It's not a cookie cutter Christian kind of book. It is real. And I just talk about my journey of loving self and how I overcame the things that I went through in my first book.
Ashley, I wanted to ask you a question. When you first did your first book, what inspired you to actually take a pen to paper and write about your journey? Was that therapeutic? Was that spiritual? What was that? Was that part of your healing process? Because I believe that some of our audience might be able to benefit from picking up pen and paper.
Yes. Well, it was something because the marketing company I went through, Kit Marketing, they said it's a whole lot of people that actually write a book, but it's only like 5% of those people. I don't know where the statistics come from. 5% of those people actually write a book during their lifetime. And for me, it was God driven. Like he put on my heart in 2013 after I started therapy, write your story. And I was like, not an open book back then. I was very introverted. As I was just telling your son, I was very timid. I was very get out of my business. And I went from that and very closed off and shy and caring so much about what other people thought, which was bondage, to 5 years later in 2018, finally saying, I said, how God, how is this book going to get exposure? Who am I? And God was like, write it, I'll provide. And that's exactly what he did.
So it became not just therapy, but also a spiritual journey.
Oh, absolutely. It was therapeutic for me. And I was so nervous up until the day that it launched. Getting feedback was like, oh, because someone told me when people read this book, they're not going to see Ashley. They're going to see a mirror. They're going to see parts of themselves in this book. And this is healing for someone. And that's exactly what it was. I mean, I got an overwhelming great response. Even like strangers were reaching out to me like, you don't know how much this book helped me. And then I was like, now I get it, God. Now I understand why I had to expose myself the way I did. It wasn't about me.
I'm going to ask Giovanni something because he's a communication major at the university. Can you see where this type of artistry fits into communicating in your field?
Absolutely. And actually, what I've admired is being in the presence of two women that are very selfless, because I see in your ministry that you're actually benefiting other people through the misfortunes that you experience. And it is a healing. It's a healing in helping others, and versus focusing all the attention on yourself.
Yeah.
So I want to thank you too for just being with you two, because you two are very unselfish. I speak from you, Mom. You're very unselfish, and you are too, and I appreciate that.
Thank you.
And you're communicating that to others through your work, and through their healing, it's healing you in that same process.
It is.
By giving?
Yeah, by giving. I feel like it's an ongoing process. Although I've overcome and I'm not traumatized, I'm not having the anxiety attacks I used to have, I'm not depression, I'm not wallowing in that. Like every time someone says how it helped them, or a 10-year-old read my book and said how it helped them, and parents wanting to give this book, my book, which was very vivid, to their children. That first one, it was just like, okay, I'm going to keep doing this. Despite if people feel uncomfortable about it, because of those people saying that, I got to keep going. I can't give up on this.
What in this chapter 2 is talking about starting all over. Can you speak on starting all over? What was the inspiration to that chapter?
Yes. The chapter for starting over, it really is starting over to learn self, starting over, getting rid of the riffraff, getting out of unhealthy relationships, not accepting something that's beneath my value, and say, Ashley, wake up. This is something new. You're in therapy. Now you know better. You have an accountability partner, which is your therapist. And so what are you going to do now that you're starting over? Are you going to pick back up the broken pieces?
In starting all over, as you have it written in the book, is it considered just your journey to starting all over? Or are you educating other people as to how they can start all over when they come to terms with themselves?
Well, really, I would consider that book, although I give some steps in the back, also of making sure you pair with a professional and write a journal and not so much focus on the past, focus on the now and all of that. I share what I went through, and in that I'm showing them my process. So I'm really talking about how I started over, because the first chapter, called The Last Straw, is very racy. It goes straight to the point of why I decided to be celibate, and the experience I went through with the last person I was intimate with, where I was like, oh no, girl, you can't fall for this anymore. Like, we got to do better. And so the next chapter is he's out the picture and then starting over.
Is your conviction a part of your Christian journey, or is your conviction part of you regaining yourself and your self-respect back?
I think it's both. I've been in communication with people throughout my journey. Some people atheist, Christian, Muslim. So man, I've even been asked to come speak at a mosque, and they know I'm like a devout Christian,
Okay.
And people, we have this commonality as humans to understand trauma and to want to be empowered and strengthened. So I think it goes across the board. I think it just, as a woman, regaining my strength as a human, period. But my relationship with God is one, with Christ is one I can't ignore, was a key piece for my healing. Because at times I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to overcome this, or I'm going to make friends, or I'm going to trust, or ever be in a relationship again. So Christ has always been key to my healing.
Can you share with our audience how you've used your artistic choice to become a way of breaking the chains?
Oh, absolutely. So if we could get this first piece. My first piece, it really was. This wasn't even me when I first created this piece. This is called Hidden Shame. I was asked the question, if there's a topic that you could help, if there's a problem that you could help. I was asked this at college, like, what would the topic be? And it was like, how do I help people who've been sexually abused? Because I know so many people. I hadn't even dealt with my story. All those memories were still really suppressed and not dealt with. So then it came to me when I lived out west, do artwork. When I started doing the artwork and these images came to my mind to do, in the middle of me creating this first one, I realized this person was me because my memories was triggered. And it took me forever to finish this piece once I realized that girl in the corner was actually me. And I just went through the process. So hidden shame in a cold, dark basement. And I still have my face hidden, but I'm splattering my truth on the walls for people to see whether they like it or not. So this piece, when I first started showcasing this piece, like on social media, it was just like, wow. Either it was like, ooh, that's dark art, or, oh my gosh, I know what that's about because I went through it.
Okay,
so
people related.
Yeah, people definitely related to it. And then the second piece, which is called Birthing the Symptoms, this second piece is basically, for some, it's art interpretation is really up to the person watching, looking at it, the viewer. But for some, they actually went through an abortion. I know someone who was actually violated and had the baby after her violation and had to give it up, give it away. And so for me, I never had an abortion, but this is symbolic of when you're in your silence, you're birthing those symptoms, those coping mechanisms, and they're growing. And whether you talk about it or not, you're living, through
Now,
what
when I
happens
look
to you.
at this particular piece of art, and you just stated that the impregnation was the pain.
Yeah,
So this could be male or female.
it definitely can.
In definition.
Yes, it
Okay.
can. It's not limited to females. I know I often talk about from a female perspective because I am a female, but there's so many men that deal with trauma of all sorts, including sexual abuse, that don't want to talk about it because of the shame, like in that first piece.
Okay.
Yeah. And I want to hear his perspective on what he thinks about the pieces after we do this first one. This one is called Freedom is Mine. And I feel like I was making like a prophetic declaration over my life. Like one day I won't have these crazy thoughts. I won't be depressed. I'll be able to have friends. I won't have anxiety. And I'm going to be free from everything that had me bound initially.
So actually that piece looks like you are bound, but you have hope because the chains are being broken.
Absolutely. And it was just so many things that I was dealing with, like suicidal thoughts, depression, torment.
So those were the change, the thoughts.
Yep. The thoughts were the change, self-mutilation, all of that, because you're taking the anger out on yourself because you don't know who else to take it out on. At least for me, that was my experience.
Okay, can you read some of the notes that you had down there that you were being freed from?
Yes. It says cutting, self-hate, hopeless, torment, dirty, worthless, anxiety, anger, fear, suicide, denial, worry, vanity, depression, lack, hate, doubt, regret, pity, loneliness.
So you said those chains could be male or female thoughts and feelings.
Yeah, it can be, definitely.
And inside you want, because I want to be free from those thoughts.
Yeah.
Okay, so you used art therapy to open up the thoughts or to free you from the thoughts?
To free me from the thoughts. I feel like my paintbrush was like a pencil. It was like a diary entry for me. Before I could be as vocal as I am now, this was my way. I was still hiding behind the canvas, but this was my way of saying, this is what's really going on. And here you go. And then when I start presenting and I got that feedback, it made me feel more comfortable talking.
Okay, since Giovanni is here and you spoke, because women do talk and women do speak. Giovanni, I got to ask your opinion on this. As from a guy's point of view, do they have those same I want to be free feelings and those emotions?
Absolutely. It's even more complex for us. But at the same time, I can relate where she came from and what she came out of, and her ability to express it, which is important. I mean, and actually that's actually a gift from God, because there's a lot of females that they still have that bondage, and you've overcame it, so it's going to allow you to be able to free them as well. But it does affect guys too. It's uncomfortable for us to talk about.
Yeah.
But I think it's great. I think you definitely on the right track, healing people with the right intent, because it's all about intention.
Yeah.
And in most cases, you know, God knows the intent, but at the same time, I can see your intent, and I can appreciate it for people all over, because only God knows the heart.
Yeah.
And I can see it. So I appreciate your heart.
Thank you.
And your ministry.
Thank you.
So this form of writing communication and painting communicating, all those were therapeutic actions for you.
Absolutely. They're therapeutic for me. And I in no way, if people feel uncomfortable speaking about their experience, don't ever feel forced to. Don't think just because this was my approach to my healing process, you have to do that in order to feel like you have overcome whatever you went through. You do whatever is best for you. If nobody but you and maybe your closest support system knows what you went through and you're walking out your healing journey, you've done a good job.
I do think healing up by itself is a personal thing.
Yeah.
And nobody heals the same. Nobody goes through the same experience and come out of it the same way.
Right.
The key being coming out, not staying in the chain.
It's a choice, because at times I was angry. Like when God was telling me, I thought I forgave, but like the level for some people that were close to me in my life and my family, he didn't want me to cut certain people off. Not necessarily people who, you know, abuse me in a way, but other family members that didn't approach things the way I felt they should. It was like, God is like, you need to forgive. If you cut this person off, you're the key to their healing process. And if you cut them off, they're not learning. You need to extend this person grace. They're in their healing process. And you're exposing a lot. So it's really hurting, because you're being brutally honest with people. So, I mean, I faced some men in my family, some women, and I uncovered a whole lot of stuff that may not have been uncovered, but it was necessary for the generations after me.
So what you're saying, as a part of your plan that was not planned.
Right? No, this was not planned. I wanted to be in the fashion world. I wanted to be a fashion designer, and that's it. And God is like, I need you to do this.
Okay.
Well, you know, let me intercept. I mean, it's along your point. It's about strength.
Oh, good.
God gives you strength, and you know, that's what you need. That's what's going to carry you, and the Lord is your strength.
Yeah.
He's the one that's going to carry you through. Not only what He brought you through, He's going to continue to take you further. That way you can, because you might have to. The Lord might have to use you to carry them.
That's true.
And not just through the book, but just even in interpersonal relations, you know. But you've been very, very. I'm gonna say transparent. I use that word a lot, but you've been great, and I just keep being strong.
Thank you. This journey is testy.
Well, you just told us that you were on your way to, what's your next stop?
Yes, actually, my first art show and book signing of the year is in Santa Ana, California, which is in Orange County, California, not too far away from Disneyland.
That's wonderful.
Yes, and I've been in an art show in California before, but I have yet to do a book signing since my book has debuted. So to have friends, shout out to Ashley Den, but to have friends that no matter how far apart we are, is like, I support you. I support what you're doing. No matter how long it's been, you call me. You always have a spot somewhere if I know you're in town. And I'm like, that's the favor of God.
I want to ask you a question in regards to this book that's in front of us. It says 6 years in county, a journey of celibacy while waiting for marriage.
Yes, in December I hit 7 years.
7 years.
Yes, I did.
Okay. Do you know how many people would think you are weird?
Oh, a lot of people think I'm weird, even before they knew about that book. They just think I'm weird overall, but I'm peculiar. I'm different, and I accepted that.
Is that scriptural?
Yeah, I'm different.
He said that we are peculiar people.
And I'm not meant
royal
to. Yes,
priesthood.
royal priesthood. I'm meant to stand out, and now I embrace that. I shunned it for so long, but I'm like, now I know I stand out like a sore thumb. I'm meant to go against the grain. But no, people do think, they're like, girl, I've had people, I won't say what's in the book. You'll have to read that yourself. But some of the things I took as funny in the back of the book, some things that men have said to me who were, I don't know if you would call it bitter, but they're, because I said no to what they were trying to present to me. Yes, their advances, some of the things that they said to me. And then other men, they were like, this one guy, he was trying to take me out on a date, and I said, I don't think so. He was like, why? I was like, I haven't been sexually active for over 6 years, and I'm not going to be if that's your intent. He was like, well, I am sexually active, and to be honest, the people I'm sexually active with, I had no intention of marrying. So you are actually wife material, and I congratulate you on what you're doing. I said, if women were saying that and exhibited a certain, I'm not saying you disrespect yourself if you're choosing to have sex, but I'm saying for me, outside of marriage, where I am right now, men, they can gauge how they feel. They'll be brutally honest if you have real conversations about what they really think about women and their actions. And I was like, wow, so this is what I was being thought about. Well, once you make a stand to
be God's woman, it sets you apart all by itself.
It does.
When you decide that I'm going to be that woman, what is it called? Proverbs 31.
Oh, yeah, virtuous.
And yes, that sets you apart.
I have that tattooed on my back.
I know it's not the easiest thing for anybody to make that decision.
No.
But the thing is, honestly, I mean, after you explain that, you know, it's about if pleasing God is the most important thing, you know, that's a decision, that conscious decision that you have to make.
Yeah.
And it's still not the easiest decision to make.
No, because we're in the flesh.
At the same time, you know, it's nice to see that it's worth analyzing and thinking about and really taking a look at what's truly important.
Yes.
So I could see that. I could see that in your ministry, and you know, it's something that should be talked about, not just amongst our peers, but even the youth, because the youth are being influenced in so many different directions.
Right.
So we need to talk about this amongst our youth.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that they, because you know, I didn't have that. I had a lot of different things that influenced me in every which way, but we need more of what you're bringing, and I hope and pray and hope for the expansion of what you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
As a life coach, do you do seminars and workshops? What has been your experience there?
Yes, I have worked with a group as well, but it's a lot of one-on-one coaching that I've done, and it's really, people have the answers within themselves. They know the goal of what they want. They just need someone to help them get through the riffraff and develop a plan to see what works and what doesn't work, and to look at where you are now and where you want to go and what are the obstacles that's holding you back. You know, maybe it's some outside influences, but maybe it's some internal things you need to work at. And so we just go hand in hand. Like, I had a therapist as well as a spiritual coach, and to this day, if I need to call them, I will. Like,
that's good.
I'm not above that. I just had a session this last week.
Okay.
So yeah.
Very good.
I think in the Black community that we need to embrace resources available.
Oh, absolutely.
Whether it's 12 steps, whether it's going to church, or because the healing, until you recognize that you're sick, you can't get well.
Yeah, nope.
And sometimes our sickness is mental.
Yeah.
Should I say, oftentimes our physical sickness comes from our stress, our anxiety, and I just have such appreciation for the fact that you're bringing out these things. These are the conversations people need to have in their homes.
Yes.
People need also to want to be free. I like the fact that you said, I want to be free from hurting myself.
Yeah.
I want to be free from the suicidal thoughts. I want to be free from putting my own self down.
Yeah.
Sometimes we're our own worst enemy.
Yeah.
To our audience, I would like to implore and ask you to consider, if you're hurting, to seek help. If you are by yourself and alone, find someone somewhere. Go to church. Go to AA meetings. Go
Right.
sit with people, because we're not meant to be on an island.
We
You did
aren't.
not get your healing alone. You said working through things showed you yourself, showed
Yeah.
you that inner self that was being afflicted.
Oh yeah, and a lot of people don't know through their employer. If you have insurance through your employer, oftentimes they will pay for like the first 3 sessions of in-person counseling, and I think you can get more on the phone counseling than that, pay for, but they will offer those services for free. There's so many resources, but people have to want to. And another thing I will say is, don't think it's an easy journey. Every day I had to choose my healing. I couldn't have self-pity because I was just going to go
You
under.
had to put in the work.
Yeah, you have to put in the work.
Well, I do have a question for you. The question I have, Ashley, is what do you say in reference to, because we already have odds against us because of our birthright.
Yeah.
But what do you say to the young ladies and young men that have that are, I mean, that not even aware of the odds that we face systematically, that those odds
Yeah.
that can possibly trigger our mental health,
Yeah.
because of those odds, and they don't know how to deal with.
Yeah.
And it might not, maybe even in the home, it might not be getting that support that they need.
Yeah.
What do you say to those young people that don't know how to cope with the odds that they face by birth
Right.
and by the systematic issues that we face?
Some systematic oppression. Definitely. I would say that any way they can, whether it's a teacher who's a positive influence, or gravitating to that positive friend, just try to find a group, or whether you're in sports activities, sometimes it's the coach or the teammates.
Yes.
Because I know some people who grew up, mom was possibly a drug dealer, or dad. I mean, I know some people who grew up in hard situations, grew up in the project, saw a lot of stuff, and they still have a choice at one point to say, you know what, the odds are against me, but I'm going to try to seek out the help that I need to be better, because I don't have to be like mom or daddy, or I don't have to be like the community I grew up in. But it's really a matter of realizing, like, I grew up in dysfunction. This is not okay.
I want to thank you all for coming to our show this time, Ashley and Giovanni. And to our audience, I would like to implore and ask you to please consider mental health counseling if this is something that'll benefit you. And again, thank you, People Talk To. This is a community-based program. And if you have any questions, please call me, Miyoshi Levy, 330-926-6126. God bless you. Have a blessed week, you all.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Very good, Ashley.